It's Gina Brooks with the Produce Human Resources Department. Today we're going to talk about the importance of getting to know one another. Things have been challenging, and one of the things that has really changed in the workforce is that we're working remotely more than ever. Now, a lot of produce employees are actually at the workplace. We're essential business, but we do have employees that are remote, and we also know that a lot of local businesses and employers, they're having to work remotely. So it has been a completely different way of working. And I think the part that always concerns me is, are we connecting? We're not working in teams like we used to. We're not hanging out and having coffee in the morning together and just saying, hi, how was your weekend? And those types of moments are really important in developing your team. So, as you know, I like to start off with a quote. And so today's quote is, "You know my name, not my story. You've heard what I've done, not what I've been through." And I love that quote, although I think you guys know probably more about me than you'd like to know through my stories. It's funny because I was talking with one of my employees who has an amazing story, and he's kind of shy. And I told him I would love him to write for a Monday Moment sometime and share some of his experiences. And he said, just like a lot of people, I don't feel comfortable talking about myself. And I told him, you know what? I understand, although it doesn't seem like it because I'm always talking about myself. But there is something about being vulnerable that's really, really difficult. But what I was trying to explain to him, why it's important to share our stories, is through our experiences, we can actually motivate somebody. Because anytime you go through something and you come out the other end, you have a story to tell. And through those stories, someone else might have a similar one. You'd be shocked at how much we have in common with other people just by getting to know one another. And that's why one of my favorite quotes is, care enough to know and know enough to care. I say that a lot, and my supervisor and I always joke around about that, because when you're an HR director and you have several hundred employees, sometimes you'll see new employees and you might not know their name yet. And we always joke around, oh, care enough to know enough to care. And it sounds silly, but we do really need to take those moments to get to know one another. So today I'm purely going to talk about getting to know one another. And I'm going to have an activity that I'm going to share with you, I'm going to do with you. And it's an activity that you can do together, virtually, remotely, during your virtual meetings. And it's a really fun one. And I wish that I could take credit for it. But as usual, my amazing employees, who are the most creative people I've ever met in my life, bring these ideas to me. And that's why, as a leader, it's so important to get input from your staff, because I'm telling you, the majority of wonderful ideas that come out of my office is by brainstorming with my staff and getting their input. So this activity we're going to do today is a getting to know you activity. One of the things that I do as a leader is, when we have our monthly staff meetings, I ask for volunteers. I don't make my staff do this. It might not be their thing, but I ask for a volunteer who would like to facilitate our staff meeting. And when you facilitate the meeting, you have to come up with the agenda, you have to invite participants, and you also have to take care of all the topics and minutes. And also, we always do an icebreaker activity and a engagement type activity that I usually do, and I always buy a prize, and it's just something that's fun. I'm a huge believer in having fun in the workplace. I believe in getting work done, definitely, but I also believe that joy and laughter is the most productive gift that you can give your employees, is allowing that freedom, because we have a lot of stress in our lives. So if you start a meeting off with a fun activity, it just gets you in the right space. So I have to give a shout out today to my amazing employees. This particular activity we're going to do today came from Marcus Moreno, and he is in my marketing department. And I absolutely loved this activity. So I will share it with you guys, and you guys, I hope that you guys do it together because it's so much fun. And the activity was called, really didn't have a name, but it was about finding out something and bringing it to the meeting, something that was nostalgic to you. So he had given us a little worksheet to do. And on the worksheet, it said, write about an item that you recall being nostalgic about. It could have been a photo, it could have been a video, it could be an object, but something that made you nostalgic and brought you joy. And it was so much fun. We got to know each other's in such a different way, and we were laughing, and some people brought photographs. One of my employees brought a really interesting little I don't even know what you want to call it. It was just a fun little game, but I'd never seen it before. And she brought this little game that she did with her girlfriend when she was really, really super young. And she brought one for all of us. And it was like, you put it on your hand and it tells you something like I don't know. I can't even explain it. I'm not going to bother. But so I'm going to share with you mine because, I have zero problem sharing with you guys anything. I'm like an open book. So the item that I want to share, and I'm going to go through some of the questions that we had to answer. So one of the questions was, what do you like most about this item? Another one was, when do you remember seeing this item for the first time? How do you remember feeling when you saw the item? And how do you think it shaped you today? Okay, so I am going to tell you what my little story is first. So I saw this item for the very first time. I was working at Wendy's Hot and Juicy Hamburgers. Yeah, I always have to say it like that because, hey, don't be too proud to work in fast food. It's how I got started. Anyway, I was at this restaurant and there's this coworker, and I knew her from high school. She was popular. I was not. She was a grade older than me. And she was sitting in the break room, and I saw her reading a Princess Diana book. And if any of you know me, you know I am a huge Princess Diana fan. I am obsessed with royalty and obsessed with, anything historical, but mostly royalty. And since fourth grade, when they had the royal wedding, I stayed up till 4 or 5 in the morning watching the wedding. So when I saw one other person, because I'd never met anyone else, that liked Princess Diana, it opened up communication between us, because I was like, wow, I like Princess Diana too. And she was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I have so many books on her. And she's like, well, you have to come by my house and see my collection. And we didn't have a ton of money growing up, but my mom and dad always tried to get me something. So I remember one Christmas getting my first Princess Diana book, and my mom probably doesn't know this, but I knew it was that darn book, and my mom had it wrapped. So when she was at work, I unwrapped the entire book, looked at every single picture, and then rewrapped it before she got home. That's how obsessed I was with Princess Diana. I could not wait. So anyway, I go to my girlfriend's house, my new friend, and she had a lot more things in life than I did. So when I went to her room, I was thinking, okay, she has an extra book. Okay, woo. When I went to her room, you would not believe the Princess Diana bounty of items that I discovered. She had absolutely everything a young girl could dream about that had to do with the royal family. But there was one item that I was so obsessed with that all through my life I dreamed of this item that I'm going to share with you. And so a couple of Christmases ago, a family friend for Christmas purchased me this item as a surprise. And I was so surprised, I literally cried like a big baby. Okay, so don't make fun of me. I know you won't. I know you won't judge me. But I'm going to share with you guys my item. Okay, I'm so excited. It's a Princess Diana doll. And I'm going to try to back up so you guys can see how amazing it is, because look at it, like goes on. This is her long, see how excited I'm getting? I'm like automatically I'm turning into like a child. But look at how long the train is. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I love it. And this is the exact same doll that this girl, my friend, had in high school that I dreamed of. And he had no idea. He just knew I liked Princess Diana. So he went on eBay and found this, and it's just, it brings me so much joy. I can't even begin to tell you, like, obviously. It makes me feel like a kid again, but also I've always, I mean, if you've read my articles, you know that I have like beyond Cinderella complex, and I blame that on my father because my nickname is Princess. So, I mean, what choices did I had? I mean, I had to love Princess Diana, right? Anyway, I love this activity because literally the leader, who's supposed to be professional and, sophisticated, turned into a child, just like you saw right now, with joy to be able to share this like nostalgic memory with my staff. And I think every one of my staff members loved this activity as well. So I guess my point today is take a minute, and you can do this virtually. I mean, I was at a virtual of this group through USI and my consultant Emily. She does a group and she invites other HR directors and other leaders, and we talk about ways we can support you, staff, employees. And I love listening to all the ideas. And most of the people there are not essential businesses, so they're working completely virtually and remotely. And they were sharing with me how much closer they've actually got with their employees because they see them in their home environment, the dogs, the kids are running, I'm sure people try to keep that quiet, but it's hard when you're working from home. There's little distractions like, your cat, your dog, your kids, and the background, like you can tell, like I love dogs. I mean, I'm at Proteus, but imagine you're working remotely and you're in someone's home or office. You see things in the background that open up conversation. So one of the participants in this virtual meeting I was having was saying how fun it's been to actually get to know each other, and that they've been socializing more than they did when they were in the office. So if you are working remotely, I encourage you to continue to connect with your staff, continue to connect with each other. I mean, there's all kinds of wonderful things you can do, and there's all kinds of activities that you can find online. Take this one activity, take advantage of it at your next remote meeting. Have a weekly coffee meeting with your staff or each other team, and do a fun activity that helps you relax, laugh, and get to know each other. Because I think right now more than ever, we need those moments of connection. We need those moments of joy and happiness. And we need to bring out our dolls and share them with people, and share that little piece of us so that we're just better connected. And I hope that each of you has a wonderful rest of the week and a wonderful weekend. And I look forward, and I hope that I get the pleasure of getting to know you guys better. Maybe we can do a big, huge virtual showcase of nostalgic items, and I'd love to see what you guys have to share. Anyway, you have a wonderful day. Bye.